Hello, I'm Gus Downing, publisher and editor of the D&D Daily, and this is the LP News Network. We're here today with Joe Coll, VP of Asset Protection, Operations and Administration for Macy's, and Steve Boarman, Director of LP Administration for Macy's. As retailers continue to evolve and build the Omni model at the stores, most LP departments are stuck in the 90s with technology. That's left a lot to be desired, with most of them operating independently and all of them struggling to keep up with technology's rapid advancement. How does an LP team navigate this maze and take advantage of what the other departments are doing with technology? And how and what do we multi-sell, so to speak, from the standpoint of technology that drives value for the operators, the marketing executives, and for sales? Reaching LP technology store of the future won't be done by LP alone, as it will require riding on everybody else's coattails, especially the marketing executives, the IT security executives, because that's where the budget dollars are. And with that, I'd like to thank Joe and Steve for being here today. Gentlemen,
thank you, Gus.
Thank you. You know, Joe, from a technology standpoint, where are we today? Where do you see us going in the future? And I'm opening with a very generic one so that you two can have the freedom to take it.
Yeah, I think you touched on it in the open. You know, you talk about the technology that we have out there. It's very diverse. When you look across the retail landscape, especially when you look at big box retailers, there is so much variable degrees of technology out there. There's the technology from the 90s, and then there's the introduction of IP cameras, HD cameras within our stores. That you've seen in the past 4 or 5 years, that's been really beginning to expand into our stores. But the challenge and where we're at today is that older technology, that technology that was singular in its mindset, that it didn't integrate with other technologies. The challenge is how do you grow out of that, grow into the new technology, while not losing sight of how important that old technology was. We may be saturated in the industry with this older technology, specifically when you're looking at CCTV and analog technology, but it was stable, it was consistent. When we transition into this new technology, into the IP technology that everybody is discussing and we've discussed earlier today, certainly you need to make sure that you're getting that stable technology. You can't transfer from the older, which was stable, to the new that will not be stable. And you mentioned it too about IT technology, IT security. You start to introduce all of that. That's the biggest challenge for us right now, is how do we get that IT and that IP cameras into our stores that will give us the video analytics, the smart functionality. However, understanding that we've got a network of infrastructure in our stores of old technology, how do we use that? What are the ways that we convert and we move into the new? So when you ask about where do we go from here, it's certainly IP. It's without a doubt, it's converting out of our analog systems in our stores. It's creating a platform inside of our stores that crosses across all platforms. That the one technology communicates with every other technology that we've got within our stores, as well as we need to make sure that we're not losing sight of our end users within our stores. It's certainly we need to make sure that we're moving the technology in the right direction to make sure that we're keeping up with not only the evolution of crime, and, you know, you talk about organized retail crime, they're evolving, our technology within our stores must evolve.
You know, how close are you working with the IT and IT security folks in this transition? I mean, obviously, they've got to be a key ingredient in developing and rolling it out. I mean, how close are you with them?
Every decision is made jointly. You know, you look at what we're doing especially from an IT standpoint, it's not only the security, you know, you open up the opportunity for data breaches when you start to put in more IT technology within our stores, but we need to make sure that we're cognizant of the bandwidth of our buildings, that we're doing this lockstep. So whatever new technology from an asset protection standpoint we're rolling out into these big box retailers, that we've got the backbone within the store. So if we're paving a way on our own, then we're certainly going to be lost because the bandwidth will not support it. So all this new technology, far different than the old days of the analog where it was standalone in the stores and IT didn't care what you did from a CCTV and a physical security standpoint. Everything we do now, we need to make sure that we're full partners with them and they're full partners with us.
You know, Steve, you talked about in a recent conversation with me about, you know, you guys were kind of like at a Y in the road as it relates to the industry facing a critical juncture. Can you explain that and talk about the decision process and the consequences one faces when going to this Y in the road? And you'll explain what I mean by that, folks.
Sure. When we talk about the Y in the road, it's basically maintaining our old infrastructure or moving to new technology. And like you said, we're in a critical junction now. Many of our retailers We're sitting on technology that's 20 plus years old. So we're faced with some very challenging decisions. It's no secret that retail has been tough over the last few years. So there's not a lot of expense or capital dollars allotted for AP's new technology. So on a daily basis, Joe and I are making very difficult and challenging decisions. Do we not repair older infrastructure to build up expense dollars to move into new technology? The landscape of retail has completely changed, especially with Omni, and new technology is absolutely needed to keep shortage down. So we are making tough decisions. The real balance is, how do you look towards the future without sacrificing the present? That's
And how do you drive the budget dollars? Where do you go for the budget money?
That's exactly it. We are sitting with our real decision makers in the company, showing them what new technology is out in stores, how we can have a return on investment with it.
Being able to multi-sell it,
Absolutely.
from multi-purpose.
Absolutely. How the sales side of the business could actually benefit from our technology, data that we are generating with new technology. That's how we get there.
Well, it's interesting how we were the first ones to have CCTVs in the stores, and now it's barely a mention from the marketing folks and the sales folks. I mean, it's almost like they're taking over all the credit for it.
But you're seeing that opportunity as well. You talk about we were the only ones with CCTV. Now there's other business groups that are adding CCTV into the stores for their own purposes. It's how do we intertwine those two? That's going to be the huge win as we move forward.
Now, are they coming to you and talking to you about it? I mean, are they at least recognizing that there's a benefit there from an LP perspective?
They've certainly begun, and we've opened that door. We've kind of shown them the different ways that the technology will actually work across the different venues. So how it'll serve asset protection, and certainly how it'll serve marketing, traffic counting within the stores. We've certainly worked on that as well.
Well, and that also reinforces the need for collaboration. I mean, to really, from an LP perspective, to go out there and work the entire retail, your entire environment, and work with the marketing folks and know some of the buyers and know where they're going in that direction and using that type of equipment.
Absolutely.
Both of you talk about the LP store of the future, and what do you think it's going to look like? How do we get there? And does the Omni journey that all the retailers are on, does that get us there? And how long do you think it's going to take?
I think the store of the future, when you talk about asset protection specifically, is exciting. When we look past the past 4 or 5 years, how we've started to migrate into this new IP technology and the advanced systems in the stores, we certainly are starting to really understand what these types of systems can do for us. So when I look at a store of the future, I think of a store that's truly mobile, that you're no longer tethered to an AP office, to a security office, that your AP teams have the ability on every iOS, Android device, and that's certainly not a plug for iOS, but certainly that any mobile device that they possess, that they can have full access to their entire suite of AP technology within their stores. That's the way we have to go. We have to continue to evolve. You look at 10 years ago, it was the introduction of a computer on your phone. So we're 10 years past when that was introduced. How do we leverage that? How do you leverage the power of what every individual in today's industry is carrying in their pockets at all times? How do you use that technology, that computer on a phone, to leverage the CCTV systems in our stores, to manage their alarm systems, their fire systems? How do they get real-time alerting on their electronic article surveillance on their mobile device? Those are the ways that we take the AP team and we evolve them as the future goes. Another thing when you look at, I talked earlier about everything was a singular focus from an AP technology standpoint, creating that real synergy. The store of the future, I truly believe, is a store that doesn't have a burglar alarm system. They have a CCTV system that handles both. Instead of having to, Steve talked about the expense dollars, that's where you start to crunch it. That's where you start to say, I don't need a burglar alarm system, and then a fire system, and a CCTV system, and an EAS system, and all these different types of technologies that we've got in the stores. How does one system, or 2 or 3 systems, do multiple different aspects of our business? And certainly CCTV, I think very soon, we will start to see the store of the future no longer have a BA system, a fire system, a CCTV system. Life safety is always going to be there from fire, but I think CCTV and burglar alarm will absolutely integrate in the very near future in our stores. And that's really where we'll start to see that. But we're starting to realize with the evolution of RFID, how we're seeing those synergies come along, how we're seeing our RFID tags and our reads at the doors are integrated into video that we've got, how we've got health monitoring in our stores. You know, you look 10 years ago, nobody knew what was going on inside of an AP team until somebody raised their hand and said, my system's not working, or I haven't heard any noise at the doors in the past week or 2 weeks, nobody's ringing off tags. Introducing health monitoring so that you can remotely view everything that's going on within the industry. And that talks about that whole networked, the singular network of devices in the stores all talking to each other is certainly the store of the future.
So Macy's made an announcement that you're going to be 100% RFID, that you're going in that direction.
Yep.
Publicly, you made the announcement. How long is it going to take?
I'd say we will be very near to 100% within the next 2 to 3 years. We continue aggressively to penetrate all of our businesses within the stores with RFID tagging, and that's going to be a huge win for us. You know, RFID 4 years ago, asset protection was not a thought. Right. It was just to drive the merchandise and the sales, to understand the inventory you've got on hand. We're really starting to realize in 2016 the benefit to seeing the visibility of where that merchandise, not only how much merchandise you have on hand in the store, but where it sits in the building. And that merchandise that's leaving the building, when it's leaving, how it's leaving, who's taking it out of the building. That's really been the game changer for us. We're starting to really track the activity of merchandise in our store in a way that we never could before. We're getting answers to questions that we wanted to know, but furthermore, we're getting answers to questions we didn't even know we needed to ask, and that's helping to arm them for the future.
And are you fully utilizing that data, that information? I mean, are all the departments involved and integrated into this process and rollout?
Not every department at this point, but the departments we absolutely are tracking all of that type of data that's coming from RFID. And we're finding ways to get it into the hands of that end user, that asset protection team in the stores, on how they can develop game plans every 30 days to react to the trends in shortage.
Isn't there a point, though, of overload, of too much data, of having so much data it causes paralysis?
Absolutely.
There is sometimes analysis by paralysis. Paralysis by analysis really is the way it is. But you know, certainly as leaders in the industry, we need to identify what type of data will give them the actionable intel, not just noise. We got to limit the noise that's coming down to the store line teams and give them actionable intel and data that they can respond to.
Well, and then you've got to be able to monitor that reaction as well.
Yeah.
You know, from a corporate perspective, globally, so that you make sure that their investment of time or whatever they're doing is in line with what the data has told them to do, so to speak.
Our message can't be overwhelming.
Right.
And if it is, it'll be overwhelming to the end user.
I mean, it's just completely changing the face of LP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly is. And you know, you look at what was discussed earlier about just the talent level within asset protection. You talk about the store of the future. If you talk about the store of the future and you don't talk about the AP team of the future, you're losing sight of it. You know,
Right.
It's certainly it probably equally, if not more important, that we identify the skill set and the talent that wasn't needed 10, 15 years ago. It is absolutely needed as we start to integrate all this different technology. We need that end user to embrace it and understand how to get everything that we're looking for them to get out of this type of technology within the stores. It's elevating that talent. It's finding that new type of AP team. That's the AP team of the future that will align with that store of the future.
Well, the problem's going to be the talent. I mean, the IT security industry is in itself, just last week said, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be, you know, over 1.5 million short in people being able to staff all the jobs. I mean, they're doubling that number over the next 10 years, up to 3 million, and the United States is not producing those folks from out of colleges. You know, I mean, that's going to pose a real challenge for every retailer, especially those going down that kind of a journey.
Yep.
So it's critical that Kevin's program and what you guys are talking about, that you're focused on it. So I commend you for it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here today, Joe.
Appreciate it, Gus. Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, let's keep them all safe out there.